We're starting the proofs. This is one of my favorite sheets that I want you to keep out by you while you're doing your homework as we go through these next proofs together. This is just a reference sheet, but I want to go over with you because it explains the reasonings behind it. So you remember when we set up proofs, the first side is a statement, and then we give the reason behind it. So this gives you those reasons. So when we prove that triangles are congruent, there are 5 different ways how we do that. And I'm going to go through, these are probably new because we haven't really gotten that much into it, but hopefully it's just kind of an overview. So we have SSS, which is side, side, side. That's one of the ways that we prove triangles are congruent. If all of their sides, if these sides are congruent, and these sides are congruent, and these sides are congruent, then we can say this triangle is congruent to this triangle. We also have side angle side. So 2 sides and an included angle. Here's what that means. Here's a side, here's an angle, and here's a side. Notice this angle is in between. That's what we mean by included angle. It's a side, it's an angle, and it's a side. So if this side and this angle and this side is congruent, then I can say this triangle is absolutely congruent to this triangle. We also have ASA, which is angle side angle. So on this one, my side is included between the angles. So here's what that looks like. Angle, side, angle. Notice that side is in between these 2 angles. So if this angle, side, and angle is congruent to this angle, side, and angle, then I can say these 2 triangles are congruent. We also have AAS, meaning angle, angle, side. So we have an angle, and we have a side. Notice this side is not included between those 2 angles. So you have an angle, a side, and an angle. If that's the case, then those triangles are congruent. We also have hypotenuse leg. So remember, hypotenuse leg can only be on a right triangle. That's it, because that's the only triangle that has a hypotenuse. So remember, your hypotenuse is opposite of your right angle, So we know if a hypotenuse and a leg are congruent, then these 2 triangles are congruent. Notice what I don't have up there. I don't have this up there. That's because we can't say that. That's not really the reason. But this will never be a proof, ever. So we don't say it, we wipe that out. Okay? These are the only ways we can prove triangles are congruent. That's it. Now, here are the reasons the sides are congruent. So this is a refresher. You've known this. So some of the reasons could be, 1, it's a given statement, right? That's your favorite. That's the one you know that it's going to be in there. It's given. Definition of midpoint. Remember what the definition of midpoint does. It splits 2 congruent sides. So that could be a reason sides are congruent. The reflexive property is also going to be a reason, where a side is congruent to its same side. And here's some of the reasons angles are congruent. It's a given. Vertical angles create congruency. Alternate interior, alternating exterior, and corresponding angles, that's true, but you must have parallel lines. If your lines aren't parallel, you can't make those statements. And another one is definition of angle bisector. Remember, an angle bisector creates 2 angles that are congruent. So those could be some of the reasons your angles are congruent. And remember, this is the big one. This is your big daddy statement. CPCTC, corresponding parts of a congruent triangle are congruent. Because of this statement, look at all the information I can say. Because of this statement, I can say angle A is congruent to angle D. I can say angle B is congruent to angle E. And I can say that angle C is congruent to angle F. All about the angles. I can also say that side AB is congruent to side DE. I can say that BC is congruent to EF. And I can say that AC is congruent to DF. All because of this Big Daddy statement. So that's what the statement looks like. Here's what, this is, you could look something like this. You can make all of these statements. Okay? All right, that's your reference sheet. Keep that in mind as you go through it.